Hi, this is Ezra Miller.
This morning, Ezra Miller pleaded not guilty to both charges of felony burglary and larceny.
AKA the Bengal Ghouls, the Mad Goose Wizard.
I'm not transgender, non-binary. I don't want to be searched by a man. I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man.
Did you want to fight? Is that the deal?
Whoa, bro.
Fight?
Oh, no!
They tell me my name is Ezra Miller. And they tell me that this is called fishing for answers.
Ezra Miller was on track to become a Hollywood A-lister from an early age. In 2008, he dropped out of high school at 16 after the release of his first film, After School. Just 2 years later, he had a lead role in Beware the Gonzo and another role in Every Day, which both premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival. Ezra quickly became well known among management corporations and found himself landing even bigger roles in more popular films. Some of these earlier performances include cameos in the Showtime comedy series Californication and the film We Need to Talk About Kevin. However, most consider Ezra's breakout role to be in the 2012 film The Perks of Being a Wallflower. These roles may have tested his acting, but the opportunity of being cast as a superhero seemed all too enticing. That's why Ezra's most recognizable character came in 2017 as The Flash in DC Comics' Justice League.
Putting together a team. People with special abilities. You see, I believe enemies are coming.
Stop right there. I'm in.
As good as an actor he may seem, Ezra's choices outside the studio point towards a more disturbing reality. When Ezra was 19 years old, he had his first run-in with law enforcement. On June 11th, 2011, Ezra was found with a, quote, brown vegetable material during a standard traffic stop. He was charged with marijuana possession, but a New Jersey judge dismissed the charge and issued him 2 disorderly conduct citations and a $600 fine. Everyone deserves a second chance, but this may have been the first mistake that led Ezra to believe he could escape the law. Around the same time of his marijuana possession, similar to our old friend Jared Leto, Ezra was part of a band called Sons of an Illustrious Father. It seems Hollywood degenerates must complete their Guitar Hero prerequisite before allegedly abusing any girls. In 2012, the public got a deeper look into Ezra's life, who openly stated he struggled with a confused adolescence and came out as queer, but never fully accepted the term and avoided using it.
You did an interview with Out Magazine, so you say, I'm queer.
Word.
The use of the word queer, yeah, word. What is it? What does it mean? You didn't really define what it meant.
It means that, like, I think at this point in our world, we've got a really confused idea of the way gender and sexuality works, and I think we've created this really superfluous sort of like binary in the way we think about gender. And I guess I identify as queer because I don't identify with that. I think that makes us less whole.
He, or they, later rephrased his identity and is quoted as saying, I don't identify as a man, I don't identify as a woman. I barely identify as a human. It's hard to know when Ezra is being genuine, as he often maliciously uses the LGBTQ community's ideology to justify his own, quote, non-human, untouchable God complex upon those around him. It's not uncommon for young actors to stray from their path of success. Oftentimes, adults use them and disregard any industry trauma associated with Hollywood's hidden vices. For example, during an interview in 2018, Ezra told the press of an incident that occurred earlier in his career with an unnamed director and producer. Ezra publicly said, "They gave me wine and I was underaged. They were like, hey, wanna be in our movie about gay revolution? And I was like, no, you guys are monsters. There is no way to know the validity of this story, as he doesn't name anyone involved, and no facts have come out since then. Nonetheless, Ezra didn't let anyone stop him. In 2014, Ezra landed a significant franchise role as Barry Allen, or The Flash. This role undoubtedly fed into his ego and gave him all of the wealth he needed to quite literally do whatever he wanted. Clear signs of mental distress combined with a Hollywood salary never makes for a happy outcome. Dealing with unaddressed trauma as a youth, the full scope of Ezra's abusive behavior manifested as an adult. The years ahead would shed some light on Ezra's private life and how he acted off camera. From an acting standpoint, Ezra loves to get deeply involved in his roles and method act for certain characters, which shouldn't be confused with his delusions of grandeur. To start things off, in February of 2020, while filming for his upcoming movie, Fantastic Beasts, Ezra converted his Airbnb in Iceland into a spiritual commune. One participant claimed everyone, which included a series of artists and expats, was hypnotized, and people began to believe they had mystical powers. Also, the Airbnb had uncomfortable beds, which is why today's video is sponsored by Helix. Helix Sleep makes premium mattresses and bedding, customized to fit your needs, conveniently shipped in a box, right to your doorstep. You don't even have to leave your house. Everybody's different, and Helix knows that. That's why they designed a sleep quiz that helps match your unique body type with your sleeping preferences, so that you can find the perfect mattress for you. If you sleep with a partner or even a pet, you can take the quiz together and find the best compromise for everyone. Personally, I like to sleep on my side and stomach, and I prefer a medium mattress feel, which is why I was matched with the Midnight Luxe. I've been sleeping on Helix mattresses for well over 2 years now, and ever since I moved, I had to upgrade from a queen to a king. That's how much I love my Helix. The days of going to a mattress store are over. You no longer have to sit through an annoying sales pitch about an uncomfortable, overpriced mattress. Your new Helix comes rolled in a box to you. I actually had fun setting up my new mattress. It took me just under 5 minutes to carry it up the stairs and watch my new bed come to life. You don't even have to take it from me. Sebastian wouldn't be sleeping on it if it wasn't the best. If it makes you nervous to buy something that you haven't tried yet in person, Helix offers a 100-night sleep trial. This gives you a little bit over 3 months to completely fall in love with your new bed. And if you don't, they will come and pick it up for you, no questions asked, and you will get a full refund. Best of all, every Helix comes with a 10-year warranty. They offer flexible payment plans and even have financing options available. So a great night's sleep is never that far away. I love my Helix, and I think you would too. If you're in the need for a new bed, check out Helix. You can click the link down below or go to helixsleep.com/Philion to get 20% off your Helix mattress plus 2 free pillows. And thank you to Helix for sponsoring this video. Other people at the Airbnb also claimed that they were afraid of Ezra's erratic behavior and emotional outbursts. As Barry Allen, the fastest man alive, and Credence Barebone, a troubled orphan, Ezra was bound to come across thrilled DC and Harry Potter fans wherever he went, though one fan in particular received a bit more than expected. In April of 2020, a fan greeted Ezra outside of a bar in Reykjavik, Iceland. Little did she know, he was having absolutely none of it.
Learn it? Did you want to fight? Is that the deal? Whoa, bro. Fight?
Following the release of the video, Miller faced significant criticism and calls for him to address the incident publicly. In response, Miller issued a statement apologizing for his actions and acknowledging the harm that he caused. Miller stated that he was deeply sorry for what had happened and that he had not intended to harm anyone. He also explained that he was suffering from a serious panic attack at the time and that his behavior was a result of that. While Miller's apology was widely widely shared, and some fans even expressed support for him. Others remained skeptical and critical of his actions, and rightfully so. From the Icelandic woman's point of view, she explained how she approached Ezra to ask about his flip-flops. After a quote, cordial conversation, things turned south as Ezra snapped and challenged her to fight. But this was far from the only account of Ezra's aggressive behavior. Another anonymous woman, going by the name Nadia, claimed she had a 2-year friends with benefits phase with Ezra. The relationship came to an abrupt end one night when Nadia told Ezra he couldn't smoke inside her apartment. Nadia exclaimed, quote, "That just set him off. I asked him to leave 20 times, but he insulted me, called me transphobic and a Nazi, while spreading tobacco leaves on the floor." At one point during Ezra's tantrum, he is quoted as saying, "I am the maker of planets. Tobacco is sacred." Clearly, there is a significant gear missing from Ezra's already decaying cerebellum. 2 years later, in 2022, Ezra went on a string of unhinged and aggressive tirades akin to someone on the verge of insanity. He kicked off the year in January by posting a cryptic message addressing the Ku Klux Klan. He honestly would have just been better off with more explaining and less rambling.
Hi, this is Ezra Miller, aka the Bengal Ghouls, the Mad Goose Wizard, and this is a message for the Beulahville chapter of the North Carolina Ku Klux Klan. Hello, first of all, how are y'all doing? It's me. Look, if y'all want to die, I suggest just killing yourselves with your own guns. Okay? Otherwise, keep doing exactly what you're doing right now, and you know what I'm talking about, and then, we'll do it for you if that's really what you want. Okay, talk to you soon, okay? Bye!
It evidently shows that he is incapable of controlling his anger. When he lashes out, it's basically at random. A fan on the street, a woman he had a relationship with, some KKK chapter in North Carolina? Although, sure, why not? There is no method to this madness. Ezra's anger is effectively levied against anyone at any time, and headline after headline indicate a massive disconnect between his mental state and the reality around him. Just 2 months later, in March, this time on a Zoom call, Ezra was charged with disorderly conduct and harassment stemming from a late-night fiasco at a karaoke bar in Hawaii. The Hawaii police stated Miller began yelling obscenities and grabbed the microphone from a 23-year-old woman singing. He also lunged at a man playing darts and was told to calm down several times. Nonetheless, Ezra's behavior only landed him a $500 fine, while 2 additional counts were dismissed by a judge. Not only did he fight patrons at a karaoke bar, weeks before, cops were called for another disturbance at a bar. In this video, you can see Ezra getting denied entry to a bar, with what looks like to be an employee preventing him from going inside. Apparently, Ezra was only given a trespass warning. No less than a day later, a temporary restraining order was filed against Ezra by 2 Hilo residents. Allegedly, Miller burst into their hostel bedroom and threatened the victims by saying, "I will bury you and your slut wife." The 2 victims also claim Ezra stole personal belongings from them, such as social security cards, wallets, passports, driver's license, and bank cards. Strangely, this restraining order was dismissed by a judge 2 weeks later, as per the couple's request. It's starting to look like Ezra uses that Hollywood salary to buy his way out of every problem. Problems he created all by himself. By early April, ultimately, Ezra's mounting headlines forced Warner Brothers and DC to hold an emergency meeting to discuss his problematic actions. To save face, they decided to halt all productions that involve his characters. Except That was a lie. That same month, in April of 2022, Ezra was arrested on a second-degree assault charge. While back in Hawaii, this time at a private party, he threw a chair and hit a woman in the head, leaving her with a half-inch gash on her forehead. He was picked up by police in the early morning hours and taken into custody. There's just one problem. According to the Hawaii Tribune Herald, a police log indicated that Ezra was booked on suspicion of second-degree assault and released at 4:05 a.m. No charges. But there's a pending investigation. What is there to investigate? Oh, right. Nothing. Picture this. You wait a couple days, noise dies down, you pay the woman several grand, no charges, and you go about your merry life with zero consequences. Anyways, I'm sure Ezra saw it as just some quirky mistake. It probably wasn't very funny when he found out second-degree assault is a Class C felony that carries a potential 5-year prison sentence. Considering he's not in prison, and this event is old news, Ezra got away without a scratch. I don't think an average person would be awarded such luxuries. For Ezra, one can only handle so much violence and chaos. It was time to settle down and find something better to do than steal passports and hurl chairs. Something new, like grooming a 12-year-old girl. Ezra Miller has always made his activism known to the world. In 2016, at a protest against the Dakota Access Pipeline, 24-year-old Ezra Miller made friends with a 12-year-old activist named Takata Iron Eyes. First of all, excuse me? She would listen to his music and hang out with his band, and Miller kept in touch with the young girl, promising to support her future music career. According to Takata's parents, Ezra even came by their home several times unannounced. In 2017, he flew her out to London to see the set of Fantastic Beasts. She was 14, he was 25. Her parents allege that he tried to sleep with her in the same bed and even gave her drugs and alcohol. This bizarre relationship got even worse when a family friend claimed they saw Ezra and Takata having sex in 2021. Though Takata told the media the claims were so very false. The same year, Ezra tried to convince Takata to drop out of school, probably because Ezra himself didn't finish his own education. And whether Ezra knows it or not, his behavior aligns with that of cult manipulation. Takata's parents were granted a protective order from the courts, preventing Ezra from interacting with her or her parents. However, the courts were unable to serve Ezra papers as they had no idea where he was. Before deleting his Instagram, Ezra brazenly taunted police by posting an image that read, "You cannot touch me. I am in another universe." Does he actually think he's the Flash? Yeah. So, where in the world was Ezra Miller and Takata Iron Eyes? With increasing pressure from the media and the news of their alleged sexual relationship, Ezra took Takata, hopped on a plane, and flew to Vermont to stay at his family's 96-acre farm. Days later, other house guests, along with Ezra, called Takata's parents to tell them that she was incapacitated after having taken LSD. You'd think taking her to the hospital would be the best course of action. No. According to her parents, who flew out to Vermont immediately, Takata was found incoherent and voiceless. She had screamed so relentlessly that she had lost her voice for several days. Let's reiterate that a 24-year-old befriended a 12-year-old, groomed her for 5 years, fled to a hippie farm, and created an environment that introduced her to sex and drugs. Not only did she partake in the use of hard drugs, she quite literally tripped into another dimension. She was found covered in bruises, which she claims were self-harm, inflicted due to the loss of her close friend. Luckily, an eyewitness had been with Ezra and Takata on multiple occasions, giving credibility to Ezra's alleged abusive and groomer behavior. Oliver Ignatius, a longtime music artist and friend of Ezra, witnessed Ezra's verbally abusive treatment of the then 18-year-old Takata in both Hawaii and Vermont. In Hawaii, Oliver saw saw Ezra confiscate Takata's phone and pressured the girl to change her name to Gibson. On the Vermont farm, Ezra once again hid Takata's phone, Gibson, and screamed obscenities at her for wearing makeup. Hiding someone's phone is a specific type of abuse that prevents the victim from seeking outside help. Oliver recalled hearing Ezra say, "What the fuck are you doing? Putting on this fucking clown paint." Like any victim who becomes the friend of a grown man, Takata stated that she was never abused, manipulated, or even screamed at. She said, "That was queer dialogue about badly applied rouge on my part, which I appreciated." She continued by saying, "I think the fact that a catty comment made by a queer person about makeup being considered abuse is actually quite homophobic rhetoric. There is a glaring problem with this entire case. Takata's analysis of the situation is backwards, and it's not even her fault. To Takata, this isn't grooming. In her mind, she has been given autonomy of her own body, thoughts, and actions, something she didn't have when living with her parents. Takata's response, in which she labels the altercation as homophobic rhetoric, is a serious deflection of the criticism, effectively undermining the gravity of what happened to her. Ezra's gender or identity has nothing to do with the fact that she was groomed. Additionally, Takata finds the hole Ezra dug for her quite comfortable. To this day, Takata has denied any allegations from her parents or others, and staunchly defends Ezra on social media.
Honestly, it's really distressing that the narrative of the victim is not being granted any trust. I worked really hard to make really clear what was going on. And if the statements are too profoundly contrasting to whatever assumptions those of us have garnered and have chosen to carry, I'd like to say that it's nobody's business and that no one is owed a story.
To the public, she's brainwashed. Takata's mother and father have spoken out against Ezra's actions and want him held accountable. They believe he has a pattern of targeting and grooming vulnerable young people. Apparently, Ezra has the time to do this not just with Takata, but with other victims as well. Earlier in the year, it was revealed that one of Ezra's wild nights out led him to a house party in Greenfield, Massachusetts, where he showed up wearing a bulletproof vest. The first blow-up occurred when Ezra accused and berated the mother of the home for cultural appropriation. Next, during a board game called Parcheesi, Ezra commented saying the game has roots in Rastafarianism. When asked by a partygoer which sect, Ezra began screaming and flashed a gun. After embarrassing himself quite thoroughly, Ezra thought it wise to address a mother about her 12-year-old child. "I've talked extensively with your child, and they have a lot of power to them. At one point, you're going to realize that you don't have any control over them anymore. They're an elevated being, and they would be lucky to have someone like me guide them." Once he was done freaking out everyone in the general vicinity, Ezra decided to scold the child's mother, calling her a witch and a vampire. At one point, he allegedly touched the 12-year-old's hips, hugged her, and offered to buy horses for her to keep at Ezra's Vermont farm. This anonymous 12-year-old has since spoken out about the situation, saying, "Ezra was automatically weirdly drawn to me and kept talking about how much they love my outfit and style." Fortunately, the family was granted a temporary harassment prevention order against Ezra. It's common knowledge that adults have no business interacting with children in any regard unless it's their own. A 24-year-old hanging out with a 12-year-old even once should be more than enough to sound the alarm. But it didn't happen once. There's a routine pattern of behavior with 2 minors at least. Ezra's creepy nature continued when surveillance footage caught him burglarizing a home in Vermont, where he allegedly stole several bottles of alcohol. He had known the people he stole from. It's funny because you would think a millionaire with a Ferrari and multiple homes would be able to afford a couple bottles of Jack. It's safe to assume Ezra was on copious drugs and alcohol before, during, and after committing the crime. The Vermont State Police believe they have probable cause to charge Ezra with felony burglary. However, it's radio silence when it comes to any actual repercussions. In October of 2022, Ezra pled not guilty to the burglary charge, which could carry a maximum of 25 years in prison. Considering there's surveillance footage, how do you plead not guilty? Surprise, Ezra's story gets even more ridiculous. For months, Ezra had been secretly hosting a 25-year-old mother and her 3 children at his Vermont farm. Ezra's family farm can be described as a secluded oasis full of weapons and drugs, a perfect environment for cult-like behavior. And if those children stay on his farm long enough, we shouldn't be surprised when they turn into his little demon henchmen. But how did we get here? Ezra met this family in Hawaii during his initial assault charges and assured them that they could live with him. Apparently, the mother took him up on this offer and has no problems with Ezra's past. Instead of Teletubbies and booger-stained iPads, there are dangerous weapons and marijuana strewn about Ezra's farm, making it an unsafe environment for the children, who are between the ages of 1 and 5. The unnamed mother, probably suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, has told curious media outlets that she is grateful. Ezra has provided her and her children with a, quote, healing haven for us. According to the mother, her husband and father of the 3 children was abusive, and they escaped with Ezra for a better life. The father has since denied these claims and has begged for his family to return. Meanwhile, according to the Rolling Stone, 8 rifles and handguns were found lying around the living room, propped up next to stuffed animals. One source even claimed one of the children, a 12-month-old baby, once put a bullet in her mouth. Ezra has made no mention of the situation to media outlets, but when Vermont police tried to serve an emergency care order to the mother, Ezra claimed the family had left the farm. Authorities believe Ezra is, in fact, hiding their location and deliberately told the police false information so that the mother would not lose custody over her children. The same month, Ezra revealed he is seeking medical treatment for complex mental health issues. Although this is a step in the right direction, let's not sweep the mountain of allegations and documented evidence under the rug. Treatment should be in the equation, but it shouldn't work as a convenient way out. Most recently, Ezra has appeared in court to answer for his alcohol burglary stunt, beginning a 1-year probation and pleading guilty to a misdemeanor of unlawful trespass. Once again, 2 other charges were dismissed, a felony burglary and petty larceny charge, as long as he doesn't violate the probation. I swear Ezra is truly looking more and more like the Flash with the way he's able to escape any punishment. Even the judge said she found the agreement very sound and an equal balance between rehabilitation and punishment. Something they don't tell you is that rehabilitation isn't for everyone. Only people who can afford it receive it. Something tells me that if Ezra wasn't Ezra, a millionaire pop culture icon, he would be rotting in Azkaban. Over 10 police complaints, a misdemeanor, dropped felony charges, assault, grooming, and housing children in a hippie armory. And where does that get us? A Super Bowl commercial for his new Flash movie. Surely Ezra will be righting his wrongs, perhaps donating the proceeds to children or families he's abused. Something tells me that's not going to happen, and if it did, it still doesn't matter. It's horribly ironic how Ezra was cast as a superhero, known to be a role model for young children. Yet he has shown he is more like a villain in every regard. It appears after every aggressive or outrageous outburst, he plays the victim card because he knows it will work, or he genuinely thinks he's a victim. It's an incredible self-defense mechanism that protects Ezra from any critique or wrongdoing, at least in his own mind. And apparently, even in a court of law, Ezra is awarded privileges that normal people would only dream of, taking advantage of his star power anytime he can. No surprise, Hollywood only seems to reinforce this behavior. Casting another actor for The Flash? Never. Warner Brothers spent millions on CGI and VFX, and there's no chance they're scrapping it now. The last thing they want is more noise about Ezra Miller. DC has taken Marvel's formula of recycling old actors across multiple timelines as a surefire way to get people interested again. All things considered, Ezra's antics worked in his favor. The brand new Flash movie, being released June 16th of this year, has seen little controversy, though some small rumors have circulated that the actor Grant Gustin will take over for Ezra as the iconic Flash following the release of James Gunn's new film. Something tells me that if the Flash performs well in the box office, we'll be seeing more of the Mad Goose Wizard. And let's not forget, only in Hollywood can an actor groom a 12-year-old, lob a chair at a woman's forehead, and choke a fan in broad daylight, while keeping their job as a role model for children, getting paid millions of dollars to save the day.